welcome back to the 6th episode of this World Cup and the World Cup build-up. And today we will be reviewing some matches. Instead of playing on that FIFA World game, these matches will be the friendlies that the teams did before the World Cup. The first one we're checking out is Qatar versus Panama. So Qatar scored 2 goals early on, and then Panama scored a late goal. And yeah, Qatar surprisingly won that game. This is like what we'll be doing with the World Cup games, but a bit more in detail. And Saudi Arabia beat Iceland with a 25-minute goal. 1-0 that was. It's an okay match, that. Oh yeah, I watched some of these as well. Jamaica and Cameroon tied. Jamaica did score first, and Cameroon scored a 74th minute goal to equalise. And then continued more, and then Qatar beat Albania 1-0 with a 37th-minute penalty that was scored. Yeah, and then that was another good match. And then Mexico thrashed Iraq 4-0. So Mexico scored in the 4th minute with a very early goal, then the 49th, 67th and 92nd minute. So then we had Costa Rica versus Nigeria, where Costa Rica beat Nigeria 2-0, the 7th minute goal, and then a 73rd minute goal to finish them off. And then we have Panama v Saudi Arabia, which was a tie. Panama scored very early on, and Saudi Arabia scored at the end of the first half to make it 1-1. The match finished. And then we have Iran v Nigeria. I don't know how to pronounce that, but Iran scored a 15th minute goal just to slide past them. South Korea beat Iceland 1-0 with a 33rd minute goal in that game. And then we have Bahrain versus Canada, which was a tie. Canada scored first, then Bahrain were quick to equalise. Into the second half, Bahrain scored, and then Bahrain scored an own goal to let Canada back into the game, and it ended 2-2. So then we had Ecuador versus Iraq, which ended 0-0, and in the 94th minute Ecuador missed a penalty, which cost them the game. And then we have Algeria versus Syria. Algeria scored and won that game, which we don't have any more info on that one. Then we have Panama versus Venezuela. So Panama were dominating the game. They scored 1 goal. Venezuela got back into it. Then Panama scored. Venezuela shot in 2 in the 80th and 93rd minute to tie the game 2-2. Dominican Republic versus Cuba. So the Dominican Republic scored first, then Cuba equalised. Then Cuba took the lead. Dominican Republic equalised again via a penalty. Cuba took the lead 76th minute, and then they scored again in the 88th minute. And then we had Nepal versus Pakistan. Nepal scored very late on in the 81st minute to take that game away from Pakistan. And then we have Croatia narrowly getting past Saudi Arabia. But they did have 2 goals that were disallowed for being offside, and one, they could have won it 3-0, but one of those goals was allowed, and that's what won them the game. And then we have Uzbekistan versus Kazakhstan. Uzbekistan scored a goal very early on in the 12th minute, and then one just before the half-time whistle at the 45th minute of the match. And then we have Tunisia versus Iran. Tunisia thrashed Iran, and both goals came late on in the 85th and 90th minute. And then we have... So, now we have Argentina versus UAE Emirates. Argentina thrashed UAE Emirates, United Arab Emirates. So, they scored 17th minute, 20th minute, 36th minute and 44th minute. Then in the second half, they scored in the 60th minute to finish United Arab Emirates off. And we have Ivory Coast versus Burundi. Ivory Coast scored 2 in the first half, 1 in the 10th minute and 1 in the 45th plus extra time. And then 1 in the 58th minute of the match and 1 in the 63rd, and that finished Burundi off. Then we have Turkey beating Scotland. So Obson Kabak scored for Turkey in the 40th minute of the match, just before half time. Then Turkey got another goal just after half time, and Scotland scored in the 62nd minute. But it wasn't enough, and Turkey won that game 2-1. Poland versus Chile. So Poland just scraped past Chile, a shock result. In the 85th minute, it was a good goal, and that's what got them the game. So we have Germany versus Oman. I'm surprised when I saw this result, because I thought Germany would be able to thrash them, but they couldn't. And Germany just got one late goal in the 80th minute to beat Oman. Oman were really good that much. And we have Azerbaijan versus Moldova. Azerbaijan just scraped past Moldova. That was 2 goals, 1 mid-half, first half in the 28th minute, and then 1 in the 42nd minute. And then Moldova scored late on goal, maybe to just get them back into the game, but they did not have enough time to bring the equaliser down. Unlike Kosovo and Armenia. So Armenia scored a first goal in the 24th minute, then it went to half-time. Then Kosovo got a goal back, but then late on Armenia thought they'd won the game in the 82nd minute with a goal to put them 2-1 up. Then in the 93rd minute of the match, Kosovo scored again and it ended 2-2. And then Czech Republic versus Faroe Islands. These are the matches I'm hoping to see in the World Cup. So it was a hat-trick for Kittil in the first half, 13th, 19th and 23rd minute goals, and then they scored one in the 42nd minute and then 72nd minute as well, and the Czech Republic thrashed the Faroe Islands 5-0. And then we have Austria versus Andorra. Austria just beat Andorra with the 87th minute goal, and then I think the Andorra manager got sent off at the end of the match as well. Then we have Gibraltar versus Liechtenstein. So Gibraltar beat Liechtenstein in the first half, really. So 14th minute goal was scored by Gibraltar. Then Liechtenstein got a man sent off, and then they also scored from a penalty a minute later. And Gibraltar won that game 2-0. And then Bulgaria beat Cyprus 2-0. A goal in the first half was the only thing that happened that half. 24th minute, and then a goal in the 71st minute finished them off again, both by the same people. Sweden beat Mexico 2-1. It was a goal by Sweden in the 54th minute, swiftly followed by a 60-minute goal by Mexico. Sweden fired in the winner in the 84th minute. And it was 2-1. And then we have Algeria versus Mali. So Algeria scored just before the break as a penalty taken by Mahrez. And then Mali equalised in the 58th minute, and that ended the match 1-1. Albania versus Italy. So Albania shocked Italy by taking the lead in the 16th minute, but Italy managed to get 2 goals back in the 20th and 25th minute. Then Italy scored one in the 64th minute to finish Albania off. Peru versus Paraguay was a bit of a dirty match, and nothing happened in the first half, but then in the 49th minute, Peru scored, and then in the 84th minute, 2 players got sent off. They must have had a fight, but Peru narrowly escaped Paraguay to win that game. Nicaragua versus El Salvador. It was a good match, and then in the 83rd minute, Nicaragua scored a penalty, and then the manager of El Salvador got sent off. And then we have Ghana, who thrashed Switzerland. This is the most shocking result I am probably going to cover today. Ghana scored 2 goals inside the 70th minute. So 1 in the 70th minute and 1 in the 74th minute, and it won them the game 2-0. And then, these are just friendlies, by the way. I'll be doing it for a lot longer with the World Cup. We had Angola versus Botswana. 1-0 to Angola, nothing much else to cover for that match. And then Canada beat Japan. Japan scored early but couldn't keep the lead in the 21st minute. In the 9th minute, Japan scored. In the 23rd minute, Canada got another one back. And then Canada scored late on to win the game in the 95th minute. And then, Kazakhstan versus Russia ended 0-0. Nothing much happened in that game. Then we have Syria versus Belarus. Belarus just scraped past Syria to win. It was an own goal in the 83rd minute by Syria to give Belarus the win. Rwanda versus Sudan ended 0-0, and that match was a bit boring. And then Morocco thrashed Georgia 3-0. They scored in the 5th minute, the 29th, and the 72nd minute from a penalty. Spot kick was taken well. And Spain beat Jordan. Spain scored in the 13th minute by Fatih, and then in the 52nd minute as well. And then they scored an 84th minute, and then Jordan got a consolation goal in the 92nd minute of that match. And then Romania got beaten by Slovenia. 26th minute and 32nd minute, Slovenia scored. And then in the 64th minute, Romania scored, but they did not have enough time to get the comeback. And then North Macedonia versus Finland. So Finland scored later on in the first half, in the 32nd minute. 75th minute, North Macedonia scored and drew the game from a penalty. Spot kick taken well again. And, yep. So then, we have Slovakia versus Montenegro. So Slovakia scored in the 15th minute. 47th minute, then Montenegro got one back in the 77th minute, and then one in the 98th minute from a penalty, which was crazy match. And then to top it all off, Slovakia got a man sent off. Greece versus Malta. So Greece took the lead in the 39th minute, then Malta took the lead again, 54th and 67th minute goal to bring it up 2-1. Then a man from Greece got sent off in the 79th minute, and Greece found a way back into the game in the 86th minute with an equaliser by Fountas. And then you go to Gabon versus Guinea-Bissau. So Gabon scored in the 15th minute, Guinea-Bissau equalised in the 39th, and then Gabon thrashed them in the 68th minute and 78th minute with 2 good goals to make the match 3-1. Then we have South Africa versus Mozambique. South Africa went behind early to Mozambique in the 14th minute. Then South Africa scored in the 57th and 60th minute to win the game 2-1. And then Israel versus Zambia. So Israel scored 2 goals in the 23rd and 24th, rapid fire goals they were. Then Zambia scored 2 after the break in the 55th and 66th minute to draw the game level. Then it was an own goal by Zambia in the 89th, and to top it all off, in the 93rd minute, it was a brilliant goal by Israel. The match ended 4-2 to Israel. Portugal thrashed Nigeria like we all expected. Fernandes scoring 2 goals in the first half, in the 9th minute and the 35th minute. The 35th minute one was from a penalty. And then in the 82nd minute, Portugal scored again, and they got another rapid-fire goal in the 84th minute to make it 4-0. We're nearly at the end of this now. Then we have Luxembourg versus Hungary. Luxembourg scored a brilliant penalty in the 70th minute, and then Hungary equalised in the 25th. In the 67th minute, Hungary scored again to take the lead, but then in the 77th minute, Luxembourg scored again, and to top it all off, it was a draw. Norway versus Ireland. So Norway took the lead in the 41st minute, just before the break. Then Ireland scored in the 69th. Then Norway scored a brilliant free kick in the 85th, and that won them the game 2-1. St. Lucia versus San Marino. San Marino did well in that match. Surprising that they are the worst team. But St. Lucia scored in the 30th minute of the match, and San Marino got a crazy equaliser in the 94th minute of the match to draw that match and get a really surprising point. And then that is all the matches that have happened today. But then we do have Cameroon versus Panama currently going on at the moment. And yep, This is the 6th video, and we will do stuff like this for the World Cup when it starts. And yep. So goodbye. That's all from me today.